guys, welcome back to my channel. I am officially 2 weeks postpartum. Yay! I am so glad that Cadence is here and that I am feeling a lot better after my 40-hour all-natural labor. Yes, 40 hours long. I am going to go into a little bit more detail with my birth story and also talk a little bit about the past 2 weeks of postpartum. If you haven't seen my birth vlog, I'll leave the link up here, so go watch that first. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about how everything went down. First off, Cadence Irene was born on April 25th, 2017 at 12:37 a.m. and she was 7 pounds 8 ounces and 21 3/4 inches long, so almost 22 inches. She's so long. I went into labor on Sunday morning, April 23rd, and then she wasn't born until Tuesday, April 25th. Contractions started Sunday morning around, I think like right when I woke up. I started getting contractions around 8:30 a.m. and then I started timing them around 10 a.m. and they were about every 8 to 12 minutes apart to start with. And then I think around noon or 12:30ish they were still about 8 to 12 minutes. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember everything. But I go into a little bit of detail in the beginning of my birth vlog, but there's not a whole lot of detail because things got pretty intense, and there's just a little bit of detail that was left out. They went from about 8 to 12 minutes to about 5 to 10 minutes to about 3 to 4 minutes over the course of the whole labor. At about 5:30 on Sunday, my midwife came and she checked me to see if things were progressing, and at that point I was about 2 centimeters and 75% effaced, which the day before all that I was 2 centimeters and 40%, and so then on Sunday I was 2 centimeters and 75%. My midwife said that as a first-time mom, most of the time your body won't thin out and dilate at the same time. Once it's like your second, third, fourth baby, your body's more capable of thinning out and dilating it simultaneously. But as a first-time mom, your body isn't as capable of doing that. At around 11 p.m. on Sunday, things were starting to get really intense, and at this point in the vlog, Noah kind of took over and did everything from here on out, as far as recording and updating, because I couldn't talk hardly through the contractions. It was taking all of my focus, all of my concentration, and things were just getting very painful at this point. Around 11, the midwife showed up again for the second time, and this time she stayed. The first time she left because things were kind of just getting started, and so she came back at around 11 p.m. and we got the pool set up. Our moms were there. They were my doulas, and they helped me a ton to get through the whole experience. Like, I would not have been able to do it without our moms and Noah there and my midwife. Like, they really kept me focused. So Cadence was in the perfect position almost throughout my entire pregnancy. She was anterior, she was well flexed, she was head down for most of my pregnancy. And then the day I go into labor, she turns just barely posterior to where her head wasn't putting hardly any pressure on my cervix, which is why it took me 40 hours to get to 10 centimeters. Was because there was no pressure on my cervix, and all of the pressure was in my hips. Every contraction, and even in between every contraction, my hips were on fire. Like, my back hurt a little bit, and I honestly couldn't feel much of what was going on down there because of all the pain in my hips from everything just pushing out. All of my ligaments and tissues just everything, make everything getting wider so that she could fit through my pelvis and through the birth canal. She's breastfeeding right now. That's the only way she'll be quiet. Following day, or on Monday, right around 3 o'clock, I think, like I said, I didn't look at the clock at all throughout, from about probably 9 o'clock on Sunday. From then on, I never once looked at the clock, because advice from my midwife and my doulas, they said, you know, don't look at the clock. It will only most likely discourage you because of how long everything is taking. So I didn't look at the clock at all. So I think around 3 o'clock on Monday, my chiropractor came to my house and did an adjustment to kind of help everything widen and everything open up to allow her to come through like she was supposed to. And then I vaguely remember contractions getting a little bit more intense after that. Things picked up a little bit. They had me try a whole bunch of different positions to kind of help bring her head down. One position in particular that we saw the most progress with was I had to elevate my left leg so it kind of opened up my pelvis a little bit, and then I had to like lunge forward like into the contraction, and I did that, and oh my gosh, it was the most excruciating pain I have ever felt. It's like your brain and your body just can't even fathom the amount of pain that you're in. Not to scare anybody away from natural birth, because it is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. It is also the most difficult thing you will ever do in your entire life. Like, it is so worth it, but it is painful. But keep in mind that there is a break in between the contractions. Like, you won't be in as much pain, and then you'll get a contraction, and the contraction rises, and then it rises, and then it peaks, and then it goes back down, and then you get a break. However, for me personally, not to say that it's for everybody, but for me personally, I was still in quite a bit of pain in between contractions because of my hips and because of the position that she was in. Hopefully, the next baby, which won't be for a very long time, hopefully, I think I'll kind of have more of an idea of what to do while I'm in labor to really help baby's head to come down. And now that I've already gone through labor once, I think the second time around won't be as bad. Really it wasn't that bad. I mean, yes, it was painful. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was very painful, but I think what really got to me was how long I was in that much pain. After doing that one position with my leg up a few times, we really saw a lot of progress. I went to the bathroom right after doing that position a couple times. I went to the bathroom and I kind of felt to see if anything was happening down there, and I felt my water. I felt my bag of water bulging, and it was like coming out, and it was like the craziest thing ever. I like screamed at my midwife. I was like, "Hannah, there's something squishy coming out." And like, I knew it wasn't the baby's head because it was squishy. I didn't know if it was the placenta coming through or the cord coming through, or if it was my bag of waters. I wasn't sure, so I had her check, and she said, "Yep, your bag of water is bulging, but do not break it. Allow your body to take its natural course and allow your water to break on its own, or for the baby to be born in the bag of waters." Also, during the whole process, I had absolutely no appetite whatsoever. That was like one of the main reasons why I wanted to have a home natural birth, was so that I could eat, because you can't eat in the hospital, and I had absolutely no appetite. Like, they were trying to force food into me, and I turned it all down. Like, I was like, I can't. I was quite nauseous in the beginning, or like halfway through my pregnancy. I puked once, and then I dry heaved once, but that was it. There really wasn't anything in my stomach to puke up, so Look who finished eating. What? Are you not happy? Are you not happy you got a full belly? You got full tummies? Yeah. Oh, oh, Mommy loves you. Mommy loves you. Yeah. She's smiling a little bit. My favorite position probably wasn't the most ideal position to labor in, which was sitting on my bottom in the pool with my legs spread as far as I could get them, holding onto the sides of the pool and like just leaning like this, like rocking through the contractions, moving my hips through the contractions, squeezing my hips, you know, applying counter pressure on my hips. Like that was where I felt the most focused and like I was able to bear the contractions, if that makes any sense. So that's the position that I ended up delivering her in. I was stuck at about 8 to 9 centimeters for a long time because for that very reason of how she wasn't applying any pressure on my cervix. So it took me a long time to get to a full 10 centimeters. And there was like, my midwife was saying that there was like a lip of my cervix that just, it took forever to get that last little bit of cervix to dilate over her head and to like open up over her head. I even like tried stretching it a little bit myself, like manually, and my midwife advised me not to do that so I wouldn't cause any damage to myself. But I was just so desperate for relief, and I was so desperate after 40 hours for labor to be over with. Like I almost allowed myself to tear just to get her out faster, and now I'm so glad that I didn't, but at the time, like, I just didn't even care. I just wanted her out so bad. However, I did not tear. My midwife had me a little bit worried that I might have, and she was talking to me about the whole process of how I would be stitched up if I did tear. And so after going through all that, she checked, and I think she was a little bit amazed herself that I didn't tear. It was very red, very swollen for a few days, but hallelujah, I did not tear. I didn't need an episiotomy or nothing like that. Towards the end of your labor, you really know that you're at the end when your contractions pick up so much that there is no break at the very end. You get like 3 or 4 contractions on top of each other, like monster contractions, and it will go up, 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 and it'll peak, and then it'll start to come down, and you're like, okay, whew, contraction's almost over, and then it goes right back up, and then you're like, you're in pain, you're in pain, you're in pain, and then it comes down, and then it's almost over, at least you think it is, but then it goes right back up for a 3rd time, and you're just like, oh my god, like, those contractions would last probably at least 2 minutes long when you get them on top of each other like that, and they're like monster contractions too. You really know that your body is trying to get this baby out. I could feel her head coming down, like it was slowly coming down, and I would reach up, and I couldn't really tell if I was touching her head. I thought that I might have been, but I couldn't really tell like what was me and what was the baby. Like, I had never done this before, so I was reaching up inside, and I was like, I think that's her head. I really have no idea. But as it like started getting closer to the opening, I was like, oh yeah, that's her head. And then I could feel hair. I could feel her hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's right there. Like, we're so close. It's almost over. Once I felt her head and felt her hair, and like she was right there at the opening, all I had to do was just push her out. It was a huge relief just to know that it was almost over. Something crazy that happened was once I did push her head all the way out, the rest of her just like shot out like a bullet. Like, I was expecting her head to come out and then for them to like flip like they usually do and then like work the shoulders out and like work the rest of the body out, but no, it was like head and then boom, the rest of her body, and she just shot out into the water, into the pool, and like the cord was wrapped around her neck once, and they unwrapped it, and then like they put her up on my chest, and I was like, oh my god, it's over, she's here. And I was like, I was so shocked and so relieved, and just like I can't believe that I did it. Like, I did natural labor, my first time ever experiencing labor, and I did it all naturally for 40 freaking hours at home. And like, I was just so glad that it was over. I was so happy. Immediately afterwards, my midwife wanted to get me out of the pool and onto the couch to deliver the placenta. However, once I stood up out of the pool, and we didn't get this part on camera, once I stood up, the placenta like halfway just fell out of me, like as soon as I stood up. And so they quickly sat me back down, and she was like, okay, you're gonna have to deliver the placenta in the pool. But it was like halfway out, or like 3/4 of the way out. And she was like, so she grabbed a hold of it and she was like, okay, now push the rest of it out. Just, you know, something that sounds pretty simple, right? Well, I had absolutely no more pressure down there, and like my ab muscles were just, I was so exhausted. I had no oomph to like get the placenta out. So like I felt like I was pushing as hard as I could, but there was no pressure, there was just no strength. I had no strength left to get the placenta out. But I somehow managed to get it out, and I think my midwife really helped me with that. Once it like fell out, there was so much blood that came out with it. TMI, but I lost a lot of blood. Like the pool like instantly turned red like wine. And it was kind of like, I don't think I quite noticed how scary it was, because I was kind of out of it. Like I think I was just in shock from just having a baby. And once all that blood came out, like Noah and our moms and Hannah were saying like that was scary for them to see right there as I stood up. And so they sat me back down real fast. Once I pushed out the placenta, my midwife had to give me a shot in my leg to kind of help the bleeding stop, which it did. So it didn't turn into an emergency situation, but it was, I guess it was pretty scary for everyone else. I was just kind of in awe of just having a baby. So from that, and also because I hadn't hardly eaten anything all day, I was finally able to get onto the couch, and I had to sit there for like a couple hours just to like recuperate. And I was finally able to eat something, and so I ate, and then just kind of sat there for an hour or two and just holding the baby and like kind of wrapping my brain around what had just happened. And Noah cut the umbilical cord, and she kind of showed us all the different the anatomy of the placenta, and which was really cool. She showed us the sac and like the tree of life, and it was just really cool. Like I've seen it on videos, but it was cool to see it in person. And then so after about an hour or two, I like really needed to pee. And so I stood up, went to the bathroom, and then I was ready to get a shower. Noah was holding the baby on the couch, and I was like, okay, I want to get a shower before we go to bed. And it was like 3 a.m. at this point. Standing there in the shower, and all of a sudden things started to go a little bit dark, and my vision started to go a little bit dark, and then like everything started to spin just slightly. I was starting to spin. I was like, Hannah, I'm getting dizzy. And she was like, okay. And so she pulls back the curtain, and I'm just doing this. And I'm like holding on because I have handles in my shower, and I'm just holding on. She's like, Kayla, sit down. Kayla, can you hear me? Kayla, sit down. And I'm just like, oh my God. And like I got to the ground. I didn't fall, which I felt like I was going to. I think I almost fell. If I would have stood up any longer, I probably would have passed out. But she helped me to the ground, and I just sat in the tub and took a shower that way, because like there was no way I was able to stand up at that point. And I think it was just from lack of eating and the amount of blood that I had lost. That's basically everything that we left out of the birth vlog. I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I don't think I am. I have notes on my phone, and it's a little bit hard for me to go into drastic detail when it's been 2 weeks already, and when you're in shock, I think you kind of tend to like forget details. Plus, I had no idea what time it was throughout the entire experience. There was one point where I thought it was like 1, maybe 2 a.m. and it was actually like 6 a.m. I looked out the window and it was daylight. I was like, oh my God, I just labored all night long, and we're like not even close to having a baby yet, which was I was a little happy that it had been so long, and I hadn't realized how long it had been, so that kind of made me a little bit happy, but I also was like a little bit discouraged that I just labored all night long. So now onto my postpartum. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video. Cadence latched on like literally probably 5 to 10 minutes after she was out. Like, she latched on right away. We haven't had hardly any problems breastfeeding. She's been a champ. I am so thankful and so very blessed that I'm able to feed her and that she doesn't have to have formula. My boobs aren't really, they haven't really leaked hardly at all. Like, they will leak a little bit after I just recently fed her, but as far as like them hurting, like they hurt a little bit, but it's really not that bad. My nipples don't really hurt that bad. I have been applying coconut oil and like lanolin, and even my breast milk lotion that I made in my last vlog. I did a little tutorial on how to make natural lotion out of your breast milk, and I have been applying that also. And I think with all of those, it's really helped. She is a trooper when it comes to sleeping at night also. Mom said that I slept through the night at 6 weeks. She's been waking up like twice, maybe 3 times a night to, you know, to feed, or if she has a poopy diaper. Like, I wake up more often to check on her than she actually does waking me up. Like, I will be checking her breathing and all of that. So she's been great. For about the first week and a half maybe, it burned when I peed. Just from like all the swelling and like the redness down there. But not because I tore or nothing. So that's pretty much, that's almost all the way gone. And also for that first week, I had quite a bit of bleeding, a lot of blood clots, and so I wore my women's adult diapers for probably that first week or so, and now I'm able to just wear maxi pads. Bleeding now, you know, 2 weeks out, is literally like next to nothing. I hear stories of women saying that they've bled for like a month and a half afterwards. And I'm only 2 weeks postpartum, and my bleeding is very minimal. But those Peri bottles that you can get either from the hospital or probably at the drugstore online are a lifesaver. Like, it helped so much with the burning sensation when I peed to like just fill it up with water, like warm water, and just dilute the pee a little bit so it didn't burn quite as much. Also to kind of help clean up, because it's a little tender to wipe for the first week or so. Now I don't have a problem at all, but using the Peri bottle is absolutely a must. I am currently back at my pre-pregnancy weight. I haven't shared any numbers. My pre-pregnancy weight was about 193. During the first trimester, I went all the way down to about 172 because I was so sick for about 8 weeks with morning sickness. And then I gained that 20 pounds back, and also, so I was back at my pre-pregnancy weight. And then over the course of the rest of my pregnancy, I went all the way up to 217. So from my pre-pregnancy weight, I gained about, I can't even do math, like what, 27 pounds? Currently, 2 weeks out, I'm 192, which is awesome that I have lost all of my baby weight, and I'm back at my pre-pregnancy weight just 2 weeks out from labor. And I would like, at this point, I'd like to lose an additional at least 20 pounds to get back to 172. 170-ish. I would be really happy at 170. Today, I was able to go to the gym at Planet Fitness for the first time, and starting off slow. I only walked on the treadmill for 30 minutes at like 2 miles per hour, and did a little bit of core workout, and just work my way up from there. So hopefully, with breastfeeding and everything, I will lose this last 20 pounds. That is pretty much it, you guys. That is my whole video. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos of Cadence. I will be doing more vlogs from here on out. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I will end this video with a 2-week postpartum belly shot. So here it is with the shirt on and with the shirt up. Give this video a thumbs up to see more footage of her, of me, Cadence.